Okay, hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is Emil. In today's video, I want to go through my top 3 stocks that I'm buying or I'm looking to buy right now during this little market crash or correction. We've yet to find out. So before we begin with the 3 stock picks, I just want to mention that it's extremely dangerous to be investing in the stock market right now. And I would strongly advise against putting all your disposable income into the stock market right now, because nobody knows what's going to happen in the next few months. I believe the more likely scenario is we drop back down from the point we're at right now with all of these stocks and the entire stock market, but I have no idea, to be honest, and nobody does. With that in mind, we just have to be very cautious and make sure the stocks that we are investing in are safe and excellent companies. So the price to earnings ratio is going to skyrocket in the next few months, most likely, because all companies are going to be earning less money. Maybe their price will come down, but a lot of companies' earnings are going to take a huge hit and may even not be earning anything and just be getting some revenue but not have anything on the bottom line. So that this means that the current price to earnings ratios for some of these companies aren't realistic, particularly with the forward Ps. I made a full video on my opinions on the stock market right now and whether you should be investing or not. So if you want to catch that one, just check it out right here. Okay, with that said, let's just go through the main things that I need if I'm going to be investing in a stock right now. So there's 2 kind of stocks that I would be investing right now. So the bulk of my investments would be going to the following 3 kind of stocks, but the remaining maybe 10% I would consider allocating to some riskier plays that have the potential to 2x to 10x in the next few years, the likes of which that have been absolutely obliterated because of the stock market crash. So like the cruise line industry and the airline industry and stocks like that have the potential to go bankrupt, but also have the potential to, multiply in value. But in today's video, we're just going to go through the larger investments that I'd be willing to make right now. So all of these companies need to have an excellent or strong balance sheet, at least a strong balance sheet right now, to make sure that they can weather out this storm without taking on a large amount of debt with unfavorable terms, because debt at the moment is not going to be as cheap as it was in the last few years. So furthermore, I need a competitive advantage or a competitive moat with these companies. I also need the potential of these companies. I need a grower. I need good growth projections for the future, or I can have a strong dividend with this company, or I could have a combination of both to a slight degree. But that's what I'm looking for in these companies. Mainly good balance sheet, excellent company overall. People will still use their products in the future, or their services in the future. Extremely important. So their survivability, excellent balance sheet, huge upside potential, and or a great dividend with a great dividend history. And obviously we're looking for some value at the current price. So there's 3 companies, 2 companies I've talked about before, and the last one I haven't talked about on this channel, and I'm excited to talk about it, so make sure you stick around to the end. Also, if you could drop me a like, that would be hugely appreciated, as I'm just a small YouTuber at the moment, so every little helps. So thanks again, and let's get straight into it. Okay, the first company, my second largest position and one of my favorite companies at the moment, and that is Facebook, of course. So why do I like Facebook? A lot of you might think, oh, Facebook, like I don't use Facebook anymore. I don't personally use Facebook anymore. But Facebook, it's still growing active users. But what I'm more interested in are its other platforms. So Facebook, you probably know, Facebook owns Instagram. It also owns WhatsApp and Messenger. Obviously Messenger, but yeah, it owns WhatsApp as well. And Facebook hasn't really monetized Messenger at all. It has never monetized WhatsApp. So there's 2 growth potentials in the future that they haven't even begun to use at all yet. Instagram has really taken off as a revenue source for Facebook, and I believe Facebook and Instagram are still going to be around in 20 years. People are still going to use them. I don't think other social medias are going to catch up just because of the network effect. They're not going to outtake Facebook and Instagram. Maybe some more will come in, but I don't think Instagram anyway or Facebook are going to be going under anytime soon. I think like people might use TikTok for a while, but there was other similar apps like Vine, if you remember that. Like that just died. It was basically the same thing as TikTok almost. So I think TikTok is a lot more risky. If it were to be, if it were possible to invest in TikTok, I think it could be just a bit of a trend, but we'll have to find out. I don't think it's going to put Facebook or Instagram in the grave. People still are using Snapchat, and Snapchat is kind of coming back, but I don't think it's going to take Facebook or Instagram's place. So I think because of the position Facebook and Instagram have, I think they're quite safe for the next 10 years at least. We can reevaluate in the future. I think Facebook has slowly coming to the point where they can't grow their user base anymore, which will slow down the growth. But I think their revenue growth per customer has still a long, long way to go. And I think these earnings per user can grow, continue growing exponentially, because there are a lot of companies, large companies, haven't really started using social media to advertise their services or products yet. Like a lot of them are still spending a lot of money on television, radio, newspaper ads, magazine ads, and they haven't really made the transition over to Facebook and Instagram, and they don't yet understand how effective Facebook marketing and Instagram marketing is, the way you can use people's data to advertise to the perfect person, similar to Google. So I think there's still a lot of money on the sidelines waiting to come into the Facebook platform. Like once a large company gets a good Facebook marketer an Instagram marketer to start advertising on Facebook on these social media platforms, and realize how cost effective it is and their ROI advertising on these platforms, I believe this will have a great impact on Facebook's bottom line. And Facebook has a 10 out of 10 balance sheet. They have no long-term debt, so I'm not worried about Facebook. They have a huge operating margin as well, so great to see. The last bullet point I have for Facebook is Oculus. So Oculus is the leader in virtual reality gaming, and if you've ever used one of these things, my friend has one, and it is so fun. It's amazing, like, and they're just getting better and better. Like the games are getting better. Like at the moment, there's not as many games that you can. It's not as realistic as it could be, but it's getting better and better every day. And I believe there's a strong possibility that this could be the future of gaming, like everyone using virtual reality. So if every current Xbox or PlayStation gamer switches over to Oculus, think of that. Think of the growth that could bring for Facebook. That could be a huge revenue source. And it also means like you have that on your head, like you can just use Facebook in the Oculus thing. There could be some sort of synergy between the Oculus and the Facebook platforms, which would make people spend even more time on Facebook and Instagram. Like the amount of time people use Instagram, the amount of time they spend on Facebook and Instagram is crazy. Facebook and Instagram have a huge amount of attention already, so attention is money at the moment and will continue to be for the next 10 years. And if they can also get the gamers' attention, like a lot of people spend a lot of times on games, so think about if they can get the attention, the rest of these gamers' attention onto the Oculus platform, people would live inside virtual reality potentially. Now let's get on to our second stock, and the second stock is Disney. So I've actually talked about Disney before, so this is going to be a slightly quicker run through Disney stock. But if you want the full in-depth analysis on Disney, I'll link it up here. So Disney have a few different industries a few different revenue sources. So I've just kind of lumped these into three categories. So their first industry is television, and I feel like this is a kind of a decreasing industry. So I don't see any growth. I see negative growth in this industry. So they own a few TV channels. So they own the Disney Channel, they own ESPN, and they own National Geographic and they make money from people advertising on those TV channels. Now, I don't think this is going to be much of a grower, but it will still earn some revenue for the next 10 years. As I discussed in the Facebook presentation, advertisers are still spending money on TV platforms, so we can still get some earnings from these channels. More interesting though, they obviously have their parks, the Disneyland parks, and they have cinema. So these are stalwart industries. So a stalwart industry is kind of a slow growing industry. So I'm not expecting 20% growth or even 10% growth in these industries over the next number of years. But they're still going to be growing in the high single digits, I'd assume. People obviously love experiences. People might not watch television anymore, but people still like to go out and experience things like parks and cinema. They still like to go out and do things or eat at restaurants. So I don't see this as a decreasing industry. I think people will continue to use these services after the whole coronavirus situation has passed. Obviously now people can't go to the cinema and people can't go to the theme parks. However, this has brought down Disney's stock price about 30%, which has given Disney a bit of a buying opportunity if you're looking for the long term. So Disney own Marvel, Pixar, and obviously Disney when it comes to cinema. So now Disney own 38% of the film market in America, which is huge. The Disney enterprise is releasing 20 films in 2020. Well, they were planning to anyway. But these films, like, people still go to see films, and services such as Netflix still pay to license those films. So Disney are excellent at recycling old brand material. So they make a new Tarzan movie every 20 years. They recently made the new Lion King movie and new Aladdin. So they can recycle old material, and they can make new Disney material such as Frozen, which will probably be recycled in 15 years when there's a new generation of kids to watch these films. And Disney, Pixar, and Marvel all make fantastic films that families and normal people love to watch. And I don't think this is going to stop anytime soon. They do make great movies, and people do love to watch them. So once the parks open back up, I don't think they'll be at full capacity straight away, but I don't think they'll be empty either. I think a lot of people will bring their children there, because their children have been locked up for a while, so maybe they deserve to do something fun in a year's time or so. And kids aren't really too affected by coronavirus as much as old people, so just to keep that in mind. And once you're in Disneyland Park, everything you buy, like the hotel, the food that you eat, everything, the rides, everything, Disney gets a cut of, or the entire amount. So it's a good money maker for them. Now they're growing industry. This is probably the exciting part of Disney, and it's obviously Disney Plus and ESPN Plus. So these are streaming services. So Disney Plus already has 30 million subscribers compared to Netflix's 170 million. So I just did an estimate. If Disney Plus gets to half of Netflix's size in users, their market cap just for Disney Plus would be 100 billion if using Netflix's valuation of a 60 PE ratio, which is obviously crazy high PE ratio. But just to keep it in mind, people are willing to pay a huge premium for these streaming stocks such as Netflix. But is there a lot of competition for Disney Plus? I don't believe so. Like, I think a lot of people think Prime Video and Apple TV are coming as well. But I think, in my opinion, I think it'll be a duopoly between Netflix and Disney Plus. And I think Netflix and Disney Plus are kind of going after two different market segments. Like, Netflix kind of used for, I think a lot of people will have Netflix, but I think families particularly will get Disney Plus, and I think a lot of families will have both Disney Plus and Netflix. The main target audience for Disney Plus is different to Netflix, so I think that's excellent. Whereas with with Amazon Prime and Apple TV, they're kind of going after the same market segment as Netflix, so I think they're always going to be lagging behind. They'll do well, but I don't think they'll do as well as Disney Plus or Netflix in the future. And Disney Plus will have some extremely valuable content that Apple, Netflix, and Amazon can't get their hands on unless they pay high licensing fees to Disney for those movies and shows. And Disney have ESPN Plus, which is great for sport and it's really interesting. They have the UFC up. They have the UFC on ESPN Plus, which I think the UFC is getting more and more popular. But they're also getting all the interesting sports and making a new, cool way to watch sports for the future. Okay, so quickly the closing comments on Disney Plus, and then we'll get straight into the final stock. Okay, so Disney has a nice 2% dividend with only a 30% payout ratio. So I think this 2% dividend is fairly safe at the moment. Their price to earnings ratio is less than 20, which means it's not overvalued. Maybe it's at a fair value at the moment. They're getting a bit of revenue and earnings growth before the coronavirus. So I believe once the coronavirus passes, they can get back to growing at a nice, not a growth stock, but at a nice, not a complete standstill either, at a nice rate with all their different industries. There seems to be a little bit of resistance at the $100 level, which I talked about before. So this could continue providing resistance. But if it drops below $100, I'd be wary about purchasing it because it could drop a good bit further. But I'm not going to get too involved in technical analysis here. Their balance sheet isn't as good as Facebook's. It's okay though. It's nothing to be worried about. I don't think they're going to go out of business. So it's an okay balance sheet. Okay, so now finally for my last stock, and this is a stock I haven't talked about before, but I'm very excited to finally be able to invest in this company. So I'll probably do a deeper dive analysis video soon. But the stock is obviously Visa, and just taking a quick look at their chart here, you can see that this has like a perfect exponential looking curve, and you can see how rarely it dips. So Visa finally had a bit of a dip now. Not a huge dip compared to other companies, but I don't find myself finding a good opportunity in Visa again. So I'm happy to purchase this stock now. But yeah, as I mentioned, Visa rarely dips at all. So it's currently at the lowest PE ratio that it's been in a while. Obviously the PE ratio, we're not sure. I don't think people are spending money with their credit cards or with their Visa cards at the moment as much as usual. So it might dip further or it might not grow straight away. But before the coronavirus, there was an estimated 20% growth in revenue and EPS and 20% growing on their dividend. So yeah, Visa is a nice combination of growth and a growing dividend with a good dividend history. And Visa has a decent balance sheet. Not an amazing balance sheet, but it's roughly 1-to-1 on assets to liabilities. So they're not going out of business anytime soon. And no one's going to stop using Visa cards anytime soon, in my opinion. Yeah, just a little quick point here. Over the past 5 years, transactions throughout the world in cash has fallen from 89 to 77%. And the use of credit cards has grown pretty much doubled. So I picked this point just to show that 77% of transactions are still using cash. So there's still plenty of room for Visa to grow. So that's by revenue. So worldwide, there's still plenty of room to grow. It's not just in developing countries where there isn't much money. It's throughout the entire world. There's still 77% used in cash. So just to add to that, maybe this coronavirus could be a good thing for Visa card in the long run. Like I'm not sure if this is correlation or causation, but the worst affected countries in Europe for the coronavirus were Italy number 1 and Spain were both the highest impacted countries. I'm actually not too sure about Japan, but yeah, 87% of Spain uses cash for the transactions, which is kind of funny. It's not funny at all, but it's kind of shows that maybe cash spreads viruses and people become more aware of this and make more of a transition to credit cards in the future. The last thing I wanted to just mention with Visa, they might have some competition in the future, so I'll just briefly give my opinion on this. So yeah, MasterCard is the number 2 player in the world, number 2 in America and in the world, but I think Visa has the top dog position And I believe Visa will continue to be the main debit card in the world. What I'd be more worried about is applications such as Square or Venmo or Revolut, where these kind of mobile phone apps allow users to transfer money between their friends, and for giving them that service for free, you also get a card, and the cash card or the Revolut card gets a percentage of the transactions that Visa would be getting in if they didn't use that card. So yeah, with Square, Venmo and Revolut, you're getting the free service of being able to easily send money between your friends, but you're also using that card instead of using a Visa card. So when you're paying for something with a Revolut card, Revolut gets the transaction fee rather than Visa then. If you don't know how Visa works, so basically every time you use your Visa card, Visa charges 4 or 5% of the transaction from the from the business. So if everyone used cash, everything would be 4% cheaper in shops and everything. So you don't actually notice, but you're kind of paying a 4% premium because people are using credit cards. So the cost is taken on by the business, but obviously the business, if everyone used cash, the business would have a lower price for everything. So you are indirectly paying extra by using Visa. A final competition, cryptocurrency. I don't think so. People tend to misunderstand Bitcoin's use case and think people are going to be paying for coffee with Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies. And I don't think, personally, I'm a huge bull on cryptocurrencies in general, particularly Bitcoin, but I don't think that's its use case in the future. Like, there's no real advantage to have, like, Bitcoin removes the necessity for an intermediate, you know what I'm trying to say, an intermediary between, if I want to buy a coffee and the person, with Bitcoin, I can send money directly from me to him without any need for a third party to make that transaction. But this comes with a cost where everyone in the entire Bitcoin blockchain has to record that transaction. So it's not as efficient as a third party doing that transaction. So it'd be much slower and much more expensive using cryptocurrency rather than using a third party like Visa. So I don't think cryptocurrency will really take over Visa's market share. There are obviously other cryptocurrencies which maybe would do this better than Bitcoin. However, I don't think they're going to do it so much better than Visa could do it, that they would take Visa's market share. So in my opinion, crypto is not, at the moment, it's not a worrying competition. Okay, so that's everything that I wanted to say about all these three stocks. I'd really appreciate it if you could drop me a like. Tell me what you think of these three stocks down below in the comments. Subscribe for more videos like this. I have more videos just like this, really interesting ones coming up. So make sure to subscribe, click the notification bell, and thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something, and I hope to see you again in the next one. Cheers again. Bye.